you ain't about that life, don't come around. Don't come around. Got the crowd, gone wild, gone wild. Tell me what you know about that Mem style. That Mem style.
Yo, y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's the Memphis Jelks Show. I don't think they heard me, man. I said it's the Memphis Jelks Show. Yo, how everybody doing out there tonight, man? I know that y'all missed me because I definitely missed y'all last week, man. I had to go out of town, man. My daughter graduated, man, and she got her RN degree. So congratulations to my daughter. Salute Mimi if you're watching. Well, you know we love you. It was awesome. Hey, I wish I could have had that moment for life. Love to see them following their dreams, man. It's been a good week. It's been a good week. And it's an even better week now because y'all know who I got with me.
Drums, please.
Oh!
What's up, man?
What's up, oh?
Man, nothing much. How about yourself, man?
I cannot call it, bro, man. How you been doing?
Man, I've been good, man. Just got back out of town from vacation, so I'm good.
That's what I'm talking about, man. We need a vacation sometimes, man.
And we do. Man, we do. Congratulations, too, on your daughter graduating, man.
Thank
With
you.
getting that nursing degree.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I sure do appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, somebody said now she can pay, help me pay all these bills.
Yeah.
I said, sure, I wish. But man, congrats on the vacation too, man. Because
Yeah,
sometimes
man, appreciate it.
we have to take vacations to get a mental break from our everyday lives, bro.
Yeah, man. You know, we all need to rest, relax, reset, man, restart. You know, you need to take some time to let your mind decompress. But not only your mind, but your body take a break, man. You know, I'm one of them people, man. I can be a workaholic. I don't like really missing work. And so that's just my drive. And so sometimes I need to take a break, you know, just so I don't burn out, man, just so I can continue to fuel myself and refuel myself. And give myself an opportunity, you know, to see the world, man, get some culture, learn some things. You know.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, enrich myself, man. I encourage everybody, enrich yourself, man. You know, go somewhere.
And you've been out of the U.S. before, haven't you?
Yeah, that's where I was. We actually went to Paris, France, man. I was in Paris, France last week, man. Bonjour.
I was gonna say something, but then it might not be appropriate. You know, it was like the Jay-Z and Kanye.
Hey,
West
listen. You know, I said it when I got there, though.
You got off the plane like, boop,
Yeah.
boop,
Yeah,
boop,
we
boop,
here.
boop, boop,
We
boop,
here,
boop,
cuz.
boop,
We
ball so
here.
hard.
Yeah, man. Great time, man. Enjoyed it. It was hot over there, but I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed every bit of it, man. You know, just seeing the stuff you see in movies, man. You know, being in the Ark, seeing the, you know, scene that they shot in John Wick, man. You know, seeing the Rush Hour 3, them up on the Eiffel Tower, jumping off, you know, just being able to see that with my eyes.
Man,
It was a great experience. Yeah, great experience. Food, trash. Pastries, great. You know, but it was a great experience, man. If you ever get an opportunity, go, man. You know, seeing a lot of people that look like me there, I didn't even feel out of place, man.
Man, that's a super blessing, man. Were
Yeah.
they speaking to you and everything? How were
Yeah.
how were they acting?
Man, you know, for the most part, a lot of people in Paris, for sure, a lot of them speak English. You know, so like it wasn't hard to communicate. Even the French, right? When you read it, it's similar to the love languages. So, you know, I did Spanish in college and Spanish in high school, and so some of that romantic language, you know, some of it is similar. So some of the words easy to understand, easy to interpret. You know, directions easy to understand because the language is so similar to Spanish, but it's just, man, it was easy to get around. You know, that was the first place I've been where I didn't feel like a tourist. to
Wow.
other people, right? I didn't feel like a tourist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, anytime I went anywhere, man, the first thing they just started talking, you know, not even assuming that I spoke French. And, you know, it could be a culture thing, but just assuming that I spoke French, you know, they going crazy. And I had to say, anglais, 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 you know, speak English. No, no
Dude,
French for
that's
me.
amazing.
Yeah.
You didn't pull out your Google voice translator.
Nah, man, a lot of people spoke English, or they at least had somebody there that spoke English, or they could speak enough broken English, man, which was, you know, it was just easy, man. It was probably, it's so far it's been outside of Singapore. It's been one of the best places I've visited. Singapore is probably number one, man. I loved visiting Singapore, man. It was probably one of the best places I've been in my life. But um, Paris is definitely number two. So man, good
Nice.
experience, man. Yeah, get them passports, man. Go out of this country, man. See what the world has to offer. Expand your mind.
Expand your mind.
Man,
Everybody
expand
should
it.
get a passport. Everybody,
Yeah.
even if they're not planning on going out of the United States, just having it can
Yeah.
free your mind. Just
That's
knowing that you,
opportunity. Yeah.
yeah, just knowing that you can leave the U.S.
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have it, you can't. You stuck.
You stuck here, man. So if it start going left, you can't go nowhere.
Exactly, man. And then you'll be, you know, you might start getting a little down and depressed.
Yeah.
And you know, or happy, you know what I'm saying? We're here tonight, man, to talk about mental health.
Yes, sir. We need it.
Callers, if y'all have any questions about tonight's show, because we're about to go deep. We got an expert with us tonight. Y'all have seen her on the show before.
Yes. Yes.
She is back for the second time. And you know what I'm saying? We're about to go deep, man. So if anybody have any questions, the phone lines are going to be open, but I'll let y'all know when the phone lines open. Don't just start blowing up the phone as soon as our guest comes on, and just don't overwhelm her with phone calls. You know what I'm saying? We'll let y'all know, yeah, when the phone lines are open and available to call in. And if you have any questions or concerns, you know, it doesn't have to be about yourself, or you can call, you can be anonymous. You know, we won't put your name out there. We never do that anyway.
Yeah. You can
And,
also put your questions in the chat too, man. We live on a couple of platforms, man. So put your comments in the chat, put your questions in the chat, and we can you know, discuss those things.
Oh yeah. So we're about to get into it, man. We going in. You know what I'm saying? We got our special guest for the night. Y'all have seen her on the show before. Are y'all ready for
Drums, please.
Dr. Latonia Lewis?
Welcome to the Memphis Jelks Show.
Yo, what's going on, Dr. Latonia?
Thank you. Not much, just living life to the fullest.
Awesome.
Nice.
We want to say thank you for joining us again. You know what I'm saying? Coming back on the show. It was a blessing having you the first time. I know you're super busy, but thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to join us again. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm getting a little lag or some freezing. Are y'all getting that on y'all's end?
It's a little lag on over there.
Yeah, I'm not getting one, but look like she might be getting a little lag.
Yeah, I'm not getting one, but
What
it
about
does.
now?
Yeah. What about now? Yeah, I think we're having a little technical.
It's better.
difficulty.
It's better now, but it goes in and out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, like we
But
said,
y'all can hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Like we said, thanks again for joining us. We had a special request. Like, people were calling and asking what we please have you back on the show. They had questions that they wanted to call in and ask you and stuff like that. You really inspired.
Okay, that's perfect.
You really inspired a lot of people during your episode, including us. You inspired us too. So we said we had to reach out to you and see if you would come back and do a part 2.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me back. I really enjoyed it the first time too.
Awesome. Awesome. You're welcome. So let's just get in. We're just gonna get into it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff happening in the world as we speak. You have the Iran and Israel conflict going on, and then you have like,
Hold on, Jokes. Before you start,
okay,
if you don't mind, just give a short introduction for those viewers who might not know who you are. Just tell them what you do a little bit, how long you've been doing it, and just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the conversation for the new people who are joining us tonight.
Okay, I can do that. So I am Dr. Latonia Lewis, born and raised in a small town called Ripley, Tennessee. Shout out to Lauderdale County. I am currently employed with Professional Care Services of West Tennessee. I am the clinical supervisor for our Millington, Somerville, and MCAP office, which is located in Memphis, Tennessee. I am also a crisis supervisor for Lauderdale, Tipton, and Fayette counties. I also serve as their director of alcohol and drug services. We treat people with opioid addiction. And I also have a small caseload where I provide psychotherapy. That is
Okay.
who I am in a nutshell.
Nice.
nice.
All right. My bad, Jokes.
No, thank you for doing that. Oh,
Yeah.
that's why you make the big bucks. But yeah, but that needed to be done, the reintroduction. And because what I was going into was like, how do you think a lot of these things are having an effect on the community, such as the bombings that are happening, job layoffs, the prices of things have skyrocketed. How do you feel that some of these things are affecting the mental health in our community?
I'm sure it has a really great impact, especially for those who are struggling now in life. Life happens, and there really isn't an answer to some of the things that we're going through. We just have to go through it to get to it. So I believe that everything that is happening in life, not just now, but over time, since the beginning of time, um, things affect us. It affects some of us differently. Some of us have it figured out, or so we think, and some of us don't. Some of us still trying to figure it out. And it matters not the age either. It affects us differently. And if you don't have your ducks in a row, as some would say, it's going to impact you greatly. And unfortunately, some people don't know how to manage that without some extra help, which is where your therapists, your med providers, this is where they come in at. So yeah, it's a great impact.
Wow. I know that I saw a post the other day where there's an artist, and he was saying he was telling all the artists that one thing that you need to do is protect your mental health, because not just in music but just any kind of entrepreneurial thing that you're doing, we don't realize it, but we face a lot of rejection from people. We're trying to gain all these followers and stuff, and we're on social media and we're competing with this one and that one and that one and this one. Everybody's like kind of competing for this attention these days that we didn't have, you know, growing up. Like if you're like my age, you're I don't want to tell our age, but we didn't have we didn't have no Facebook and social media and all that stuff, Instagram, growing up. Do you feel that social media is playing a role in some of the mental health issues that people are having these days?
Oh, absolutely. We sometimes when you don't know who you are, you tend to try and mimic the lives of other people, especially if you feel like they're living better than you, they have more than you, everything over there looks good. The grass really isn't greener on the other side. It's the same color. It's just that when you have to do the best that you can with what you have. And when you do that and you are certain of who you are as a person, you won't have the need to be like somebody else or mimic your life after somebody else. You'll be okay with just being you. We try to make people feel like they should live or be a certain way, and we're not telling people that it's okay to just be who they are, and that has caused a lot of problems. I talk to young girls all the time. As a matter of fact, I have an event coming up pretty soon where I'm going to talk about the importance of having good self-esteem, the importance of being okay with who you are, knowing who you are, and not trying to be like somebody else, because the truth is that you can't. And when you try, it causes you more turmoil.
Mm,
That's deep.
yeah. So how does one proactively and this is probably piggybacking off of Jelks' comment, how does one proactively protect their mental health when you have so many digital platforms that can consume your time and can also have some sort of influence or impact on you? How does one go about kind of trying to protect their mental health from some of the things that they might be exposed to by using these digital platforms for social media or other type stuff?
The simple answer is stay off of it.
Oh man, I didn't want you to say that.
The more technical answer, the more technical answer would be learn to set boundaries with
Mm,
yourself. Stay true to those things. Like limit your time on social media. But most importantly, you really have to figure out what your values are and what
mm,
you value most in life. And when you do that, like I said, you got to spend some time with you, getting to know who you really are. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I know that y'all have heard that before.
yeah.
And so it's important to set a boundary and then keep the boundary. I'm going to
Mm,
limit my time on social media because it's impacting me. You got to stay true to yourself. Tell yourself the truth, no matter what that looks like, the good, the bad, the ugly. And when you do that, you learn to protect your mental health more. But you can't conquer a demon that you're not willing to face. So if you continue to be dishonest with you, then you're going to continue to have some mental health issues, whether that be something as simple as mild depression or mild anxiety. You're going to have
mm,
some kind of issue if you're not true with yourself.
mm.
So, what are some of the early signs that people may give off to let you know that they're kind of headed toward like a mental crisis? Like when you guys like have people come in and they start talking to you and you evaluate them, are there signs, early signs that you may be headed in that direction?
Absolutely. You ever snapped at somebody that has done absolutely nothing to you? I'm
I'm
asking y'all.
That's a great
uh
question. Not not as somebody who didn't deserve it. Not as somebody who didn't deserve it.
Okay. Most of the
um
time that happens.
yes, I have. I have.
Okay. Thank you for being truthful.
Okay, because I was gonna lie.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, sometimes crying for no reason, irritated for no reason, sleeping more than normal, eating more than normal. Um, some people use alcohol to
Mm,
cope. Like say for instance, you've worked hard all day. And instead of going home, taking a hot bath or listening to some relaxing music, you grab for a glass of wine, and you do this daily. That means that
mm,
something is going on, because that can easily lead to addiction.
mm.
And some people don't realize that if you're reaching for things that are unhealthy to cope, then more than likely you're suffering with some kind of mental health issue.
What are some healthy coping mechanisms?
Honey, taking a bath, a hot bath, lighting some candles, going for a walk, listening to some relaxing music, reading a book, sitting in silence, turning everything off in the house and not doing anything, going for a long drive, simple things that don't have to cost any money. For some women, it could be getting your nails done, getting your hair done. For some men, it could be going to the gym. Like there are so
Mm,
many things that you can do, things that you enjoy, things that bring you pleasure are good coping skills.
mm.
That was a great answer, and that was a great question. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer going to the gym, man. Instead of hitting somebody, hitting them weights, it do a lot for me.
definitely.
Absolutely. You got to release that negative energy that you build up every day. You got to do it. And some people, unfortunately, they release it in unhealthy ways.
So, what is the process then? If you guys like a person came to your company and they're suffering from some of these things, what's the process that you and your team do to kind of start helping them and leading them toward the right direction?
Well, with my company, we have three services that we offer for people who are suffering with um, mental illness or mental issues. We have care coordination, which is also called case management, where they link people to resources in the community, whatever, if that's housing, food pantries, financial assistance, those types of things. And then, of course, we have therapists who offer psychotherapy. And then we have nurse practitioners who provide medication management. It just depends on the individual. There is no one size fits all. Of course, it's based on the individual and what their needs are. So basically, just understanding what that person is looking for, what they need, that's how we build a treatment plan, so to speak. So that's how you know what they need.
Do they have to have do they have to have insurance, or is there other ways that they can pay for it if they're uninsured?
Yes, we have a program that's called Behavior Health Safety Net. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of that. It's for those people who are uninsured and who may or may not have income. It could be low income. But of course, there are certain requirements for everything. So they just come in, they fill out an application, and they can get approved instantly and they can get the services that they need, mental health services.
How does stigma play into like people building up the courage to be able to come to you guys? Because it's like a stigma in our in the culture, the so-called culture
Yeah, a lot of
of
people.
mental health.
Yeah. A lot of people are concerned with image. And because I want to be viewed as this great person, I'm going to do everything I can to uphold a certain image in front of people. A lot of people associate mental health with being crazy, and they don't understand that that's just not what that means. Um, the mind, just like the body, needs nurturing. And that's all that mental health is nurturing your mind so that your body can function and vice versa.
So
So
it's like
the stigma comes from wanting to be something or look like I'm more important than I am, or that I'm not as, or that I don't need as much help. That's a simple answer.
it's like going to the gym for your mind, because people go to the doctor, for their illnesses. People go to the gym, physically. So you go to the church and you get your spiritual muscles up. So it's like, would you liken um like therapy to make, kind of strengthening your mind? Is it kind of like a workout for your mind and make sure that your mind is healthy?
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. That is a great example. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I think we focus so much on our outward appearance and some of us probably need to focus more on our spiritual, you know, health. And
All of us do, not just some
I
of us.
think, yeah, I think, like you said, like we need to make it cool to check on your mental health. Make it a cool thing instead of like you said, instead of trying to associate it with negative images, or this person must be crazy or this or that. No, he's just like going to the gym, with his brain,
Absolutely.
strengthening his brain. Yeah, getting
I
all his
think that we
thoughts and
need
stuff.
to I think that we need to promote more of it is okay for you to get some help versus promoting so much of this negativity. Like it saddens me when I see people that I know sharing or posting fights, physical fights. Like instead of promoting that, promote something positive. Promote that it's okay for the people that are fighting to go and seek help. Learn some conflict resolution skills because bad news travels fast. But
Hmm.
something that's good and something that's going to help people, not so much. And we need to do better.
Are you seeing more mental health issues in younger people today?
Oh, absolutely. Especially because there is a lack of guidance. Nowadays, people don't care about how other people feel. Now it's all about me, 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 me. As long as I'm getting my needs met or I'm getting what I want, then I could care less what my neighbor needs. So there's like a lack of respect. And because of that, we do see a whole lot of mental health issues now.
So let me ask you this, and this might be a little controversial, um, but do you think that that maybe for the last 5 years, I would want to say that mental health has been a big push. Um, but do you think that we might have gotten to a point now to where people are weaponizing mental health versus taking some accountability and ownership for some of the things might they might have done that has contributed to some of the states that they're in? Because and maybe this is coming from a little bit from working in the corporate world a little bit. And sometimes it seems like that people want to label it as mental health when really it's a lack of an accountability and ownership for decisions that have been made. Not to say there couldn't have been any things that have happened that have impacted their mental health, but I think that there are some people who might try to weaponize it to either get what they want or to get away with the behavior that they're exhibiting.
So yes and no.
Mm, okay.
I say that because people who have a lack of accountability, that is a mental health issue.
Mm, okay.
But yes, some people do try and what do they say? Buck the system.
Hmm.
So yes and no. It just depends. But yes, lack of responsibility, lack of accountability, those are all mental health issues. Yeah.
Interesting.
That was a
Okay.
great question.
Yeah, I think just sometimes, um, and it could be because social media is a thing, algorithms are a thing, but sometimes you see people, and this is just me. Sometimes there is some discernment there where it's just like, this doesn't feel genuine. This doesn't feel like genuine concern. This doesn't feel like I'm not saying that I'm not trying to ignore or overlook the issues, but sometimes it doesn't appear to be a call for help. It appears to be a call for attention. And all of it could be wrapped up into mental health. And I'm not saying that it can't, but it just feels like it's been it's been a society push. And I think it's great. And I'm not saying it's not great, but I think there could be some people out there who say, hey, this has been a lot of pushing certain agendas versus, really trying to get people the help that they need.
Yeah. I mean, I agree to a certain extent, but we have to be careful when it comes to the way that we perceive things. Because firstly, our brains are not wired the same.
Mm-hmm.
We can, like you and I can go to a church service.
Yep.
And we can hear the same sermon, but we can leave with two totally different experiences.
Agreed.
Of course, you can see a person and they are having an issue, right? And you can say, you know what, if it were me, this is how I would deal with it, or you wouldn't catch me doing that. That may be true for you, but for the next person, something that we may view as simple may be difficult. So we have to be really careful with how we say, okay, you know, all they just putting on. We don't really know that. All we know is how we were raised, what we grew up on, what we were taught. And so that works for us, but it may not work for the next person. And I think that that's a lot too of where the stigma comes from when it comes to mental health, is because most people feel like, well, this is how it's supposed to be. But that's just not true. Because that's how it's supposed to be for you, or that's what works for you, that's what works for you. And it may not work for the next person. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a good point. I do think that's a good point. Lately I've been discovering, and it's just, how you are raised really does shape how you view the world.
Absolutely.
And it can really be so drastic that we don't even notice it.
Mhm.
I was just having a conversation with somebody, and what just seemed normal to me, and this probably reiterates what you just said, what seemed normal to me didn't necessarily seem normal to them. And
Yeah.
I think it just kind of dawned on me that how you're raised, it really does shape how you see the world. And it shapes how you perceive things. It shapes how you operate in the world. It shapes how you move in the world. It shapes how you steer your life.
Mhm.
And I was talking about earlier, that's why exposure is so important, because what you're exposed to really can either limit you or render you limitless, depending
Absolutely.
on what the people who are supposed to be raising you expose you to. And it just it's just crazy once you begin to open up your mind, especially if you're a person who, and this is just adding in another layer, especially if you are a person who was raised, maybe in a religious home, maybe in in some sort of denomination, in some sort of faith-based organization, and you were taught certain things, right, wrong, or
Mhm.
indifferent, right? You were taught certain things, but as you grew, as you learned, as you gain knowledge, as you gain understanding, some of those views might not have, it could be conflicting for you. And you
Yeah.
could realize that a lot of stuff you were taught, not to say that it was wrong or bad, but maybe you don't agree with, or maybe it's not really what it is, or maybe you've developed a different opinion because of the experiences you've had in life.
Mhm. Absolutely. That's a really good point. Absolutely.
And then you can find yourself struggling
Yeah.
spiritually and mentally with what you've learned mentally, but what you believe spiritually.
Mhm.
That can definitely. So how do you balance faith and mental health work, especially in communities where people say just pray about it?
Just go to the pastor. He'll
Mm-hmm.
help you work through it.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't go to school for that though. He didn't go to school for that, but yeah.
We have to change the narrative. And what I found is that some people are, I'm not going to say afraid to change, they push against the change. You can ask people, how they feel about what, how do you feel about change? And most of the time they'll be, oh, I'm okay with it. I'm good with change. Change is good until it's time for the change. And then when it's time for the change, all hell breaks loose, so to say. So, like I said, really getting to know who you are and what you value, a lot of self reflection, a lot of self awareness will help with that process. But if you're not willing to be honest with yourself, again, that is so important. If you're not willing to be honest with what you really value and what you really believe, you're gonna always be stuck. Gonna always be stuck. I hear people talk about God like he's a monster. If you don't do this, God is gonna get you. I don't believe that. I believe that God is he's lowly, he's meek, he's humble, and I see him differently than some people that I grew up with, or some people who had a hand in raising me. I see it differently, and I'm okay with that. But that's because I've grown over time. People perish for a lack of knowledge. So I've educated myself over time, and not necessarily saying that I had to go and read a whole plethora of books, but you can watch videos, you can listen to other people, and then you determine what your relationship with your faith is going to be. And don't let anybody else decide that for you. You only have one life to live. And if you are constantly living your life through the eyes of another person, then what will you have done? What will you have accomplished in your own life? Nothing, because you're living your life for other people. Be okay with being you, how you are, who you are. Be okay with that.
You made a great point. Um, I want to get a little bit deeper into that because, like what we were discussing earlier, social media has a lot of people copying others, or but they just don't realize a lot of times that people are only posting their best selves on there. Nobody's on there posting the bad stuff that they go through. Everybody on there is having a sunny day. They just got a brand new car and won $1 million on Powerball. Really? So if you're trying to be like that every day, I could see where that could lead to depression. It could start leading to maybe start slightly being a little depressed, but then the more a person does that and try to compete in that never ending show me all your highlights world, it's like that could get draining. I could see where that could get mentally, physically, and spiritually draining. But what I want to say also is, ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open. If you've ever had any mental health experience that changed you, or you've been thinking about therapy, but not sure where to start, call us now and join in the convo with Dr. Lewis. The phone lines are open. We would love to hear from you guys. The number is 901-410-0123.
And so while they're getting their questions together,
Mm-hmm.
can you, and I don't even know if this is an easy question to answer, but can you talk a little bit about some signs of depression and when people should seek clinical assistance with that?
Yes. Some signs of depression would be, like I stated earlier, sleeping more than you normally do, losing interest in things that you once enjoyed, isolation, not hanging out like you normally do. And some people are introverted by nature, and that's okay. But and so sometimes you can't really gauge that, but hopelessness,
Mm.
thoughts of death, thoughts of suicide,
Mm.
eating too much, not eating enough. Um, I think that's basically it. Not getting out of bed, not leaving home. Um, when you should seek help immediately. I know
So
that's not an easy thing for some people to do, but
yeah, yeah. So how do we help those around us? Let's just say we are watching these signs unfold with someone we may know, someone we may be in contact with, partners, friends, family. You know, what are some things the people around them can do to, one, they recognize it, they acknowledge it. What are some things they can do to try to help, to try to encourage, try to, how can we assist and help them if we're noticing these things? What can we do if they refuse, or how can we, get them to come see someone to talk about what they might be experiencing? I
so
know that's
number
a loaded
one,
question. Yeah.
it's okay. Um, not being forceful.
Mm,
Ultimately, the decision is up to the individual. We can say, "Hey, Johnny, you need to go see somebody," or we can even take them. But if they're not ready um, for the help, then it's not going to work. But
mm,
you said be encouraging.
okay.
Sometimes just sit with the person and say, "Hey, I'm here if you need me. I think
Mm,
that you should go and get some help." Um, but we can't force them. You know, there is no therapy is not magic. Neither is medication. They're all in a relationship together. The person, the medication, the therapy, it's a relationship. And everybody has to play a part for it to work. You can see some people who go to therapy, who get the meds for years and nothing ever changes. It's because some people are only comfortable in the chaos. Anything outside of
mm,
that, it feels abnormal. And also, they weren't really ready for the change. Sometimes
mm.
it's really hard to change because I've been so comfortable with being depressed that I don't know what it feels like to be anything other than depressed. And that doesn't feel right to me. So let me just stay depressed because that's where I'm more comfortable at. So the person has to really be ready. Of course, we
Mhm.
can always lend an encouraging word or be supportive, but ultimately the decision has to come from the person who's dealing with it.
You said something that triggered a thought in me that, like, it really takes a lot sometimes to break, and I'll just use this just for the discussion. It really takes a lot of effort to break generational curses or generational things that are continuously passed down. Like, you know, hearing you say some people feel comfortable operating in chaos, right? That means you had to learn how to be operational because you either grew up or experienced a lot of chaos or chaotic situations where you had to just adapt, like adapt to a point to where that became normal. And even in discussing it, that sounds like crazy, or that sounds like abnormal to even think about, that if it's not chaotic, it doesn't feel normal to you.
Right.
And it really takes some effort to not pass that on to another generation, or not pass that on to offspring, not pass that on to other family members or other people you have influence over, like, not to pass that type of behavior on. It really takes a lot of effort, and it really takes a lot of intentionality. And I guess, in having this conversation, really realizing how, like, it's really got to be a personal decision. And I know you talked a
It
lot
does.
about that tonight. It's really, like, you really have to make up in your mind that
Mhm.
I want to be different, and I can't do it all by myself. There's a portion I can do, but I can't do it all by myself. And so I say that to
Absolutely.
say this: how does one go about trying to find, because every therapist is not for everybody, right? So how
Mhm.
does one go about finding a therapist that works for them?
Trial and error.
Mm,
If you have a therapist and it's not working for you, don't be afraid to go and seek another one. You
mm,
don't have to stay just because that was the first decision that you made. It's
yeah.
okay. Like I said, some people are so afraid of change that they'll
Mm,
stay in a situation just because they don't know what to expect.
mm,
And that's really, really scary. And back to what I just said a few minutes ago, that some people are only comfortable in chaos. What's really scary about that is that sometimes people don't know that it's chaos.
that's, that's so dangerous. And I'm
We
not
see that. We see that on
situation.
like those. Go ahead. Oh, my bad. Go
Yeah, I'm
ahead.
not trying to make light of the situation, but like that is so dangerous.
It is.
That's
Absolutely.
so dangerous. Like
Absolutely.
that's very dangerous and scary. When
Hmm.
you put it in that context, that's very dangerous and scary to have a person that doesn't even recognize it.
That's normal to them. It's what gives them pleasure. That's scary. But that is
Yeah.
the world in which we live.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It kind of puts me in the mind of those hoarding shows. Have y'all ever seen
Yeah.
those where there's people and they just hoard a whole lot of stuff in their house, and in this case, they're hoarding it in their minds,
Yeah.
and then they don't
Yeah.
even know. They're like they're so used to living in all of that junk and just trash and they don't even know. And somebody has to like you said, oh, somebody has to come over there and literally try to help them get rid of all of that trash and stuff out of their houses. And they're like, no, I'm keeping this, I'm keeping that, I'm keeping this. They're wanting to keep a whole lot of that trash and junk because like hey, it just makes a lot of sense. That definitely reminds me of mentally what's going on with a lot of us. we're
Yeah.
hoarding we're hoarding negative things in our minds, and it's just piling up and it's piling up and it's piling up. And that's where I can see where, at that point, once it gets just like just unmanageable anymore, we shouldn't wait till it gets unmanageable anymore to go visit, a person like Dr. Latanya, or a company that does what her and her company does. We shouldn't wait till the house is just completely just filled with trash. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely need to, like, if you see somebody, the early signs in somebody, please, step in and try to help fix the issue before it turns into a hoarded house, a hoarded home, or a hoarded mentality. Because that's a sickness. And it's truly a sickness.
Absolutely. And everybody has something different. I did some research
Mm,
um, maybe about a month or so ago on how addiction is a disease, because most people don't see addiction being a disease, but it really is. It's just like having diabetes or high blood pressure. Um, it causes dysfunction in the body.
mm.
But one of the scientists talked about our dopamine levels, and dopamine is a feel good hormone. It's what gives us pleasure. It's where we get our pleasure from. And so, for a person who's addicted, like our level, our baseline is like 100. And this is just an example. A baseline of dopamine is 100. Like I said, it's the feel good hormone. For a person who enjoys methamphetamines, they only get pleasure at a level of 150 for food, 250 for sex, 350 for rest, and then for the methamphetamine, it's like 1250.
Wow.
And so
Mm.
it's different for each person depending on what they get the most pleasure from.
Wow.
So for hoarding, that could be the 1250 for that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, now that makes
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
perfect sense. Wow.
Yeah. And then the person is no longer looking for the pleasure after the brain has transitioned, is looking to feel
Mm,
normal. And so that's why you see people constantly getting those things that are unhealthy, because they're trying to feel normal again.
so they've replaced it.
Yes.
Like whatever that happiness was, they've replaced it with whatever that addiction is, or whatever that thing is they gotta do. They've replaced it now, and so now getting a good night rest is not normal anymore. That's not the most delightful thing that they can do. Now it's like, I got to buy more stuff. I got to put more stuff in this house. I got to work out
Absolutely.
even
Yes.
longer now. I got to go harder in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Rest
Hmm.
is no longer exciting to me. That no longer brings me happiness. Now, if I'm not working out 4 to 5 hours a day, I'm not happy.
Absolutely. I feel sick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've got to get this feeling away from me. And so I have to reach for that thing that gives me pleasure, because now this is what the brain is thinking. If I don't have those things, then the brain is saying that something needs to happen. And
Yeah.
so whatever that habit has become, that's what it is.
You, you know, that's, that's, hearing you say that's kind of made it a little plain for me, because I sometimes I have stretches where it's like, I can't miss the gym. Like I can't
Yeah.
miss it. Like one
Mhm.
night I went out and worked out at 8 o'clock at night, because and I typically don't like to work out after I eat. But I had eaten, but like I felt so bad that I got up at 8 o'clock at night and went and did a full workout.
Oh goodness.
I went and did a full workout, but
Yeah.
I've also made the conscious decision sometimes to be like, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
okay not to work out. If you couldn't make it that day, you just couldn't make it. I've
Yeah.
also learned to try to give grace to kind of help reset it. Hearing in that mathematic form, I'm an engineer by trade. It clicks in my brain now. Like you
Mhm.
have to reset what that level is, or else, that level, that thing that you put at the highest will drive you. And you shouldn't want
Mhm.
it to be something that could cause harm to you. Resetting and changing it out based upon your lifestyle, right? I could be in a situation where I need to go work out every day. Like that's
Yeah.
required. Like it's life or death. So that needs to
Yes.
be number one. But once I'm out of that season, I should be able to reset that to create some balance in my
Mhm.
life, so that the level of happiness is not, just stuck in this one mode. I should be able
Yeah.
to regulate that. And I can see
Yeah.
how if people can't regulate that, how they really need to be seeking some help.
Yeah. For those
Because
who don't have strong foundations,
yeah,
genetic,
because yeah,
environmental, all those things play a part. Yeah.
yeah, because that could lead you to do some, and I think some of this kind of helps me. And I'm just touching on subjects now. We just having a conversation, right? And so my mind is wide open right now. But like hearing that formula, and that's just what I'm gonna call it, I can see how people can get to a suicidal state.
Absolutely.
I can
Yep.
understand it now, because sometimes you can't, I'm just being real. Like, growing up in the church and what they teach you and what we learn in church, just my experience, what I learned as I grow, right? My views become my views, and it's not the people who are there, right? But
Hmm.
like, I'm sure if you grew up in church, man, you shouldn't be committing, how can you commit suicide? All God has done for you, but as I grow and as I learn, and as we having this conversation, my mind is starting to be reprogrammed. I can understand how you can get there.
Yes.
I can understand how a
Absolutely.
person can get there. And it
Hmm.
creates this in this moment, it's creating this sympathy. It's creating this mindset. It's creating this conception in my head that it's very easy for a person to slip into that space if they're not
Absolutely.
in an environment that's helping them grow. And now it's downloading to me. Now it's even more important to the company that you keep, to the people that you surround yourself with, for the environment that you're raised
Hmm.
in, man. This stuff all shapes how your future self will be. And for some people,
It does.
you can't control it. You can't.
Mhm.
You can't control it. And you know, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier. It's not just the therapy, it's not just the medicine, it's not just the self-help. Like they all have to work in connection for you to be good, for you to be the best version
Absolutely.
of yourself that you can be. Man, this is mind blowing for me. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of having a moment right now. Uh
Man, keep going.
Mhm.
Oh,
That's
under
absolutely true.
of just my understanding, right? You know, of me trying to put myself in somebody else's shoes to see how easy it can be. You know, how easy it can be for you to be on the brink of total breakdown to the point to where like, yo, I can't take this anymore. It's just too much.
Yeah. 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 We all have a level of tolerance for pain. Um, it's different.
Yeah.
Some people can tolerate a lot of pain. Some people can't. And for those who can't, who actually just feels like the weight of the world is on their shoulders, you can have two people to experience the same thing, but again, their experience
Mhm.
or their perception of the situation can be totally different. You have you mentioned suicide a few minutes ago. Sometimes you'll hear people who are religious say you're going to hell if you do this, right? If you carry out suicide or complete suicide. But here's the thing: not everybody is strong enough to wait on God, because that's what we tell them. Just pray about it, just wait on God. Everybody is not mature enough in the
True.
Word to know how to
True.
do that.
True.
And if we as Christian people or spiritual people, if that's all that we have to give them, then what have we done?
Mhm.
Have we done as God has instructed us and helped our brother? Or have we just pushed them to the side? We have to really ask ourselves that God has put all of these things in place, all of these resources in place for a reason.
Yeah.
For a reason. We are his hands and his feet and his mouth. That's what we're supposed to do, right? And I wish that more people would incorporate mental health into the church.
Yeah. I don't disagree
That's
with
what we
that.
need.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I
not
feel
be
like
afraid.
yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
not be afraid of it.
if you're a large church, you should have a mental health specialist on your staff. You should definitely have some sort of mental health ministry if you are a large church,
Hmm.
especially serving a large population of impoverished people. You should have a mental health ministry and you should have qualified people on staff to help, right?
Absolutely.
To help. I do think
Absolutely.
that should be a thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got somebody coming into your church saying that they want to die. What are you going to do?
Listen, you can speak
Where
in
are you
tongues
going
and
to
lay
send them?
hands, but
You know?
yeah,
Absolutely. That's a whole
yeah,
nother story. I get really passionate about that one.
yeah. No, and I understand it though, because like I think sometimes the church does a poor job of just kind of glazing over that part. You know, just kind
Yeah.
of just want to turn the page on that. Like, nah, you know, you can be strong, be encouraged, brother. You gonna get through it, sister. You gonna make it. Hey, listen, I don't doubt that. But mentally right now, I don't feel like that. And ain't no amount of words you're gonna say to me in this moment gonna change that. You know, like
Absolutely.
sometimes I need someone who specializes in that. And you know, if your pastoral background is in that, cool, you can do that. But you know, for most of these churches, right? For most of these places, you know, the deacon ain't went to school to get educated on that, you know.
Right.
The deaconess ain't, you know, they ain't got no background in that. And so, you know, what worked in 1980 probably don't work in 2026,
Absolutely.
2025, 2027,
Absolutely.
2030. They're probably not gonna work. The world has changed, society has changed. Now the blood is still the same, but some of these things that y'all have picked up back in the day, it just might not work now. And that's okay. That's okay. And I think that
Absolutely.
be the problem. People be feeling the type of way because you have a difference of opinion about what got them through. I'm glad that got you through, but that might not get us through in 25.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What works for you, it may not work for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That is okay. And we need to start telling people or give people permission,
Yeah.
to do something different than I did. Do what works for you. If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. And that is okay.
Yeah.
That is okay. We cannot be afraid to change. The world is changing.
It is.
Nothing changes if nothing changes. The world is changing and we have to evolve with it. Now, I'm not saying give up your values or give up what you believe in, but come on now. We
But
got to
yeah,
do better. We got to do better.
agreed.
I was having a conversation with one of my homeboys the other day, and they were saying things, and it was kind of like I had like the feeling, like you said, oh, like I had an epiphany. They really were believing that what they were saying was the right thing
Yeah.
to do. And
Yeah.
I was telling that person, hey man, you have to unlearn a lot of the stuff that we were taught when we were growing up, culturally,
Mm.
just by the wrong people and stuff. Um, the entertainment that we watched and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff programmed us to be and think a certain way. At this age, oh, that's what I'm saying. Like I was glad when you said that it'll be easy to slip into like a state of like where you could start feeling suicidal and stuff like that, because we haven't unlearned a lot of the bad stuff, and just like the hoarding situation, we haven't thrown away a lot of
Yeah.
the bad stuff that was implemented into our brains as youth growing up. So we've let a lot of um, untruths become truths in our mind that we need to step back and say, you know what? You know, Snoop Dogg said B's ain't ish, but H's and tricks. But would you say that about your mom? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You need to unlearn that. And you've been living your life on these morals that have kind of been that you've been letting them be embedded in you over years and years and years. That's where I think a therapist could come in and help people kind of de debug debug your brain and unlearn a lot of the negativity and relearn and fill it in with the proper things that you should have learned or need to know now moving forward in order to put you in a have you thinking in a way that's going to be more positive, that's going to bring a more positive outcome to your life. Because if you keep living on those lies and you don't debug yourself and unlearn those lies, I mean, you're on a you're headed to hell in a handbasket. Man,
Yep.
so yeah, unlearn some stuff.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to unlearn. Everybody want
Yeah.
to learn. Unlearn some stuff.
Yeah.
Make some room for the stuff that you need to know, that you need to learn.
If this were a perfect world,
Mm.
yeah. But again, you have some people who are comfortable in the chaos. And that's normal to them, that's right to them, and there is nothing that nobody can say or do to change their minds.
Yep. And then you have some people, there's some people maybe even watching this episode and are scared to call. They want to call in, but they're scared to call in because the stigma, the stigma is there. They think people are going to think, something negative about them or something. But that this one phone call right here could change your life forever. And you just, and I I can feel where they're coming from because I grew up in the hip hop culture, and we want to be known as badasses, and nothing can phase us, and we're number one, and everybody else can, go jump off a bridge. Got the tough guy attitude. Nothing's ever wrong with us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the kind of the culture that I was raised around. Just tough it out. Be a man. Tough it out. But yeah, I've been unlearning a lot, and then I've been reading a lot of books. So I've been deprogramming, but I'm reading books, hoping that I'm filling my mind up with more positive things. I'm trying to like out with the old, in with the new kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Those are our coping skills.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to me. So the
Yeah.
phone lines aren't ringing, y'all. Man, this is a good conversation. We could keep going. If anybody, y'all want to add anything to this dope conversation, man, we got to start doing these like once a month or something. I don't know if Dr. Latonia, I don't know how your schedule is, but it would be nice to have you on like at least once a month or
Now,
something.
we said that. How many years ago did we do this? Was it what, 2 years ago?
Was it 2? Yeah, because we
Yeah.
only been doing it 2 years.
Yeah.
And we said then that we was
We
gonna do
should.
that.
Yeah.
We haven't done it.
Yeah. You know what, Jux, when you get off here, y'all find another date, put it on the calendar, and book it.
Okay.
And then you know what? We could like talk about just one specific topic each time. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like a whole plethora of things.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How about this? How about you send us a topic and we'll do some research?
Yep.
Yeah, you send us the topic, we'll do a little research, so we can have some questions and maybe be able to provide something to the conversation.
Okay, awesome. Y'all did a good job tonight. Y'all had some questions and some comments, and it was good.
Thank you. We getting a little better. My
Yeah, we can
intro,
just-
I flubbed the intro though. I fumbled the intro. I'm like, I just got stuck. I was like somebody just like I was running the football and somebody just stuck my ass. I was like, whoa, I almost fumbled the ball. But I got it back on track and everything though. So God is good.
Yeah.
All the
Yep.
time.
So with that being said, I'm not gonna, hold everybody up. I'm gonna what they say in those corporate meetings. Oh, I'm gonna give y'all back 10 minutes of y'all's time. It's been good, Dr. Latonia. Thank you for joining us once again. This is the part where we'll just go around and just let everybody say their final thoughts, man, and then we're gonna be out. So, we're gonna start with you. Well, we always start with the guests, don't we? My bad.
Yeah,
We start with the guests. Just give your final thoughts. Let people know if they can follow you on Instagram, or let them know your handle and stuff like that.
Well, so I don't have any handles. I'm just an old regular person with I do have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Dr. Latonia Lewis is what it is. And sometimes if I have time, I try to give some encouraging words. But the only nugget that I wanna leave with you guys tonight is just to be true to yourself, no matter what that looks like. There's one thing in life that you absolutely cannot do, and that is live up to the expectation of another person. You can't please them, no matter how good you are. Somebody is going to always find something that's not right. So be true to you, be okay with who you are and how you are, and you'll live a prosperous life.
Woo.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know how you're gonna come behind that.
I don't know how I'm gonna come behind that either. But first of all, thank you for coming on again. Great conversation. I enjoyed it. Clearly, I had a eye-opening experience tonight, and so I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the candidness and the honesty. I think it was great, and I know when somebody watched this back again, or those who are watching, hopefully they can take some away from it. The only thing I'll say is it's okay to not be okay. Just don't stay in the not be okay state. It's okay. Just don't stay there. Tonight was meant to help and encourage people to seek help when you need it. And for those who see people who need help, to just be there for them and to help them and encourage them to seek the help that they need.
Absolutely. That is good.
Y'all make it rough. Y'all be making it rough on me, man. How I'm gonna come behind those?
We say the best for last.
I wish. I think y'all be saving the best so y'all can just get up out of here and leave it all on me. Just want to say thanks again, Dr. Latonia, for joining the show. I'm looking forward to like having these like at least once a month, because I think this show helped some people. I saw some of the comments and stuff, and I think it really helped some people. You know what I'm saying? And y'all were saying some really powerful things, and it helped me. You know what I'm saying? So I know if it helped me, then it helped anybody else who was watching, other people who were watching. I just want to say, you know, unlearn the BS and relearn or learn the positive things that can help you in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like going to the gym, like Dr. Latonia was saying, like how to come home and just turn on some soft music and just unwind and you know what I'm saying, relax instead of reaching for the nearest bottle of alcohol or the nearest blunt. Do they still call them blunts? I don't even know. But yeah, but thanks again for joining the show. We're gonna be doing it. Y'all be on the lookout once a month. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be having these mental health conversations, man, because I really think that they're gonna be needed even more in the near future with a lot of the things that are happening in today's world. And we just want y'all to tune in and give y'all opinion. And you know, we don't know everything. We're not on here saying that we know everything or nothing like that. So that's why we want to give the floor to other people too, and let we all chime in and just figure it out together. That's what we're here for. We're a community at the Memphis Jelks Show. Thanks again. I'm being long-winded, man. I love y'all, man. Dr. Latonia, send us that subject for the next time, and then we roll and we out.
Hey, so before you leave, can we set like a specific Wednesday? You want to do it every third Wednesday, every second Wednesday, so I can get it on my calendar?
Okay.
What works?
I'm down like for any week.
Every third Wednesday. Let's do that. Every third Wednesday.
Every third Wednesday.
Okay.
Y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. The exclusive here every third Wednesday. We're going to have candid conversations with Dr. Latonia on the Memphis Jelks Show.
Woo, woo, woo.
Yes. All right. Peace, love, and happiness to everybody, man, and blessings. God.
Squad up, haters down, haters down. If you ain't about that life, don't come around.